On May 2, 2026, Spirit Airlines sent a text message to 17,000 employees. No town hall, no press conference. A text message and a website update that read, "All flights have been canceled. Customer service is no longer available." 34 years, 214 aircraft at its peak, 44 million passengers a year, gone before sunrise. The obituaries called it a failure, a cautionary tale about cheap fares and a model that did not work. But that is the wrong story. Spirit did not fail because its model did not work. It failed because its model worked too well, and the airlines it taught turned around and used it to destroy the company that invented it. Spirit's origin story starts in the least glamorous place possible, a trucking company. In 1964, the Clippert Trucking Company was hauling freight in Michigan. By 1983, it had pivoted into air travel. Not the kind of air travel anyone would brag about, but the kind that got working-class Detroiters to Atlantic City for a weekend of gambling at a price they could actually afford. The company was called Charter One, and it existed to sell packages, a flight, a hotel room, and some casino chips, bundled together for less than you would spend driving. It was not glamorous. It was not supposed to be. In 1992, Charter One bought its first jet aircraft and renamed itself Spirit Airlines. Scheduled service began between Detroit and Atlantic City, then Florida, then Philadelphia, then wherever leisure travelers needed to go cheaply. For 15 years, Spirit was just another low-cost carrier, scrappy, unglamorous, profitable enough to survive. Then in 2007, a CEO named Ben Baldanza made a decision that would permanently alter how every American airline sells a ticket. Ben Baldanza was famously frugal. He ordered his hamburgers plain, not because he liked them that way, but because he refused to pay extra for toppings he did not want. That logic became the philosophy of a company. In 2007, Spirit began unbundling its fares. The base ticket covered one thing: getting your body from point A to point B. Everything else, checked bags, carry-ons, seat selection, printing a boarding pass at the airport, was optional and cost extra. Baldanza's argument was simple. Most passengers do not use half of what legacy airlines bundle into a ticket. Why charge everyone for it? The price of just the flight was 30 to 40% lower than anything else available. The complaints were immediate and volcanic. Spirit became the most complained about airline in America by a significant margin. A passenger once flushed her emotional support hamster down an airport toilet rather than give it up at the gate. And yet the seats filled. Because for a price-sensitive traveler flying 2 hours to Florida, the math was undeniable. By 2015, Spirit was generating operating margins above 20%, better than Delta, better than United, better than American. Ancillary fees accounted for over 40% of total revenue. The model worked spectacularly. Legacy carriers spent years dismissing Spirit. Their customers were different, they said. Their brand was worth paying for. Then they watched Spirit's margins and changed their minds. Delta introduced Basic Economy in 2012. United followed. American joined in 2017. The premise was identical to Spirit's bare fare. Strip the ticket down to a seat and nothing else. Charge for everything else separately. These were not small experiments. Within a few years, Basic Economy fares were the fastest-growing segment of every major airline's revenue. The legacy carriers had essentially photocopied Spirit's business model and then deployed it with an advantage Spirit could never match. Delta, United, and American had global networks, airport lounges, business class cabins, and loyalty programs worth billions. A traveler choosing between a Spirit bare fare and a Delta Basic Economy fare, often at nearly the same price, was now choosing between a carrier with nothing else to offer and one with upgrades, lounges, and miles at the same base ticket price. Spirit had taught the industry its own trick, and the industry had better cards to play it with. Did you ever fly Spirit? Would you have paid more for a better experience? Drop it in the comments. The pandemic hit Spirit the way it hit every airline, catastrophically, but Spirit had less cushion than anyone else. Its model depended on full planes flying constantly. Grounded aircraft generated no ancillary revenue. By the time Spirit filed its first Chapter 11 bankruptcy in November 2024, the airline had lost more than $2.5 billion since the start of 2020. There was a lifeline. JetBlue had agreed to acquire Spirit in 2022. The Department of Justice sued to block it. arguing the merger would eliminate a key price disruptor. A federal judge agreed. The deal collapsed in early 2024. Spirit emerged from its first bankruptcy smaller and weaker, then filed again in August 2025 with $8.1 billion in debts. Then, in early 2026, the United States and Israel launched strikes on Iran. Crude oil surged past $100 a barrel. Jet fuel costs at Spirit more than doubled in certain markets. For an airline already burning through cash, it was unsurvivable. The Trump administration offered a $500 million bailout in exchange for up to a 90% government stake. Bondholders rejected it. The airline had no other options. William McGee, a senior fellow at the American Economic Liberties Project, put it plainly: "You do not have to fly a small carrier to benefit from its presence, because they bring down the big carriers' fares. Without Spirit, everyone will be paying more." The data already supports him. Fort Lauderdale alone lost nearly 30,000 annual Spirit flights. On routes where Spirit flew, legacy carrier fares were measurably lower. That competitive pressure is gone now. Here is the brutal irony that defines Spirit's 34-year existence. Spirit Airlines forced the American aviation industry to make flying cheaper. It invented the unbundled fare. It proved that millions of passengers would accept stripped-down service in exchange for genuine savings. It pushed Delta and United and American to compete on price in ways they never had before. And in doing so, it signed its own death warrant. Ben Baldanza himself predicted it years before the end. The broader truth was worse. The legacy carriers had copied Spirit well enough to make Spirit irrelevant. The bright yellow planes are gone, the hamster is still in the pipes somewhere, and every time you see a basic economy fare on a Delta or United booking screen, you are looking at Spirit Airlines' most enduring contribution to aviation, a legacy that outlived the company that built it.